Welcome back to another episode of the Uncommon Man Project, where we cut through the noise of surface level success and get to the truth of what it really means to lead, to feel, and to rise as a man in today's world. This isn't just a show, it's a space for real conversations with men who have walked through the fire, who have faced failure, heartbreak, burnout, and the quiet doubts that come when he thinks the world's got it all together. This is for the men building legacy, not just lifestyle. Today's guest is a man who has done exactly that. Ryan Rockwell is a powerhouse of presence and purpose. As the previous founder of Modern Healer and Modern Yoga Teacher, Ryan has coached thousands of wellness leaders, coaches, and entrepreneurs to lead from authenticity, not performance. With a background in Eastern philosophy, kinesiology, and somatic embodiment, Ryan doesn't just teach business, he helps people reclaim their integrity, own their voice, and build from the inside out. But Ryan's wisdom isn't textbook, it's lived. His journey includes burnout, loss, reinvention, and a courageous return to mission after walking away from success that no longer aligned. He's guided top-tier leaders through consciousness-expanding retreats, held space for massive identity shifts, and now stands as a beacon for men seeking clarity, courage, and depth. This conversation is one for the man who's tired of pretending and ready to rebuild from truth. Welcome, Ryan.
Dude, you literally almost made me cry. That's the best introduction anyone's ever given me. Wow. Thank you. Yeah, great to be here, man. Good to see you. Yeah.
Thanks for being here. I really meant that. So, just to dive in, Ryan, with starting off the bat here. Let's start with the fall. What did burnout or breakdown look like for you? And what were the early signs you may have ignored when that break finally did take place?
Well, when I started the business, Modern Yoga Teacher, I wasn't in a good place. Like, I just wasn't. I'd been working for the Yoga Journal as their online marketing manager. And it was just so corporate-y. I just hated it. It was just, I just had no creative, I just had no creative ability like in that job. So anyways, it was just enough for me to start Modern Yoga Teacher. And when I did it, I had been looking at building a tiny home for like 2 years. And so I finally, after 2 years, realized that a tiny home in 122 square feet and my 90-pound dog was not going to be the greatest fit. So I got a travel trailer because I love simple living. I really love just having minimal position. Like, minimalism is definitely a lifestyle for me. So the point I'm trying to make is that when I started the business, I had just moved from Boulder, Colorado, where my meditation and yoga community was, to Golden, Colorado, which was 25 minutes away, in a RV park with an interesting crowd. And so I was just away from my community, and I'm starting my business, and I'll just be straight out. Like, I was not in a good place mentally. I was like, I'm either going to make this business successful or I'm checking out. And I'm sure you can figure out what checking out of life means. Yeah. Going dark. So there I am in my trailer by the river, and I'm starting Modern Yoga Teacher, and I'm taking modafinil because I've got to make this business work. So I'm taking modafinil during the day, jacking myself up, so I can focus. And then it was just so much like focus that I couldn't sleep at night. So then I would take marijuana edibles at the end of the day to try to sleep. Woo! Whee! And I would have these amazing ideas at the end of the day, and then I couldn't remember them in the morning. Every night was like, oh my God, I could do this and this and this. And I'd wake up like, what the fuck was I talking about? What was that idea? So that's how I started my journey. And I mean, again, I was all in. I would do whatever it took to be successful. Like I would do whatever it took. I would sacrifice sleep, health, whatever it was to experience success, or sacrifice relationships. And so that's how I started the business. And it wasn't, I have zero regrets, because I'll just add to that. Like most of my life before that, I was a runner and a quitter. When things got tough, I checked out. And so that was the first time that I was like, I'm all in. I have to make this work. And so I'll just go the 100,000 foot view. I lived that way for the next 7 years. And we were very, very blessed to be wildly successful, either double, tripled, or quadrupled our revenue almost every single year for the business. I lived an incredible lifestyle, like, because I wanted to live my brand. We were teaching yoga teachers to work from anywhere in the world. So I was like, well, I've got to, exemplify that. So probably 3 years in the business, I just moved to Bali, and then I just started traveling around the world. And it was great, and it was beautiful, and it was fun. And I got so much shine because all my business coaches, I was like often their biggest testimonial. So they would like promote me, and that felt so good. And like people that were other in the business coaching programs be like, oh my God, you're crushing it. And I'm like, yeah, fucking awesome. Meanwhile, like, I'm just like, let's get fucking real, man. Let's get real today. So like, I was always like, I was very afraid of commitment. Like I told you, I quit things. And that was the same thing on like relationship side. I was a dating app whore. I would have like Tinder, Bumble, maybe Plenty of Fish. I would be going dates all the time. And then as my business grew, I was like, I've got to stop doing this, and I've just got to focus on my business. So I still crave that physical intimacy. So I started seeing escorts. So like literally, I would drive an hour into Denver to go see escorts to get that oxytocin hit, then go back and work on my company, until, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, get some sleep, wake up at 8 a.m. and do it all over again. Like I was just a go, 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 go. And because I was getting shine and I was making money, it all felt great. But I mean, at the same time, like it felt very inauthentic to be seeing escorts while I'm the leader of Modern Yoga Teacher, which is probably 85% women. The staff was like 80% women. Wow, can't believe I'm telling you all this, but why not? So the point of it is like I was burning the candle at both ends. And as long as I was making money and as long as I was getting approval, it was feeding me. But meanwhile, like there was a true passion for me to help yoga teachers to reach more people and change more lives. I absolutely believed in our mission. And passion can be incredible. It can really fuel you, but it can also fucking burn you. And I lived on passion. And by the time like I started the business in October of 2015, by July of 2021, I was sleeping like 2-3 hours a night. I was taking still marijuana every night to try to go to sleep. I was having gut issues. And a friend of mine, and I had used chewing tobacco since I was 17. So like many, many years at that point. And a good friend of mine was like, dude, why don't you go to like rehab? Like get off of the chewing tobacco, get off the marijuana, go somewhere where you can just relax. Like you're burnt out, dude. You're toast. And so that's literally when I went to this executive wellness retreat center in South Africa. White River, God, I can't remember the name of it, but it was in White River, near the what is the safari?
Kruger National Park.
Kruger National Park.
Yeah.
Oh God, that is life-changing, that place. But anyways, so I went there for 2 months. I mean, you were already a part of the organization. Like, people might not know this, but Nicholas used to work for Modern Yoga Teacher as a coach. And I went to this retreat center, got off the tobacco, got off the marijuana, and then all of a sudden, for whatever issues, I just started having these terrible gut pains. Terrible. I went to the emergency room like 4 times. It was a really tough 2 months trying to get through that period. Yet that was supposed to be my time to relax. That was supposed to be my time to get my health back. And so, like, just to perpetuate this a little bit further, and then I'll pause, is that I went through those 2 months, basically came back to the US shortly after that because I was in terrible pain. I found this gut healing burnout retreat in Mexico for like 21 days. So I get down there, I actually get there a week early, and I'm in such physical pain every single night that I finally go to a pharmacy and say, hey, give me the cheapest painkiller you have. And they're like, we have morphine. I'm like, okay. And for the next 6 months, I took morphine every night to try to deal with the pain. And during that time, I literally was slowly losing it. And I was losing touch with my reality, losing touch with my company. And that's when I put Modern Yoga Teacher up for sale for the first time. And when it all culminated, when it all hit the fan, is when I signed the final contract to sell the business. The buyer signed the final contract to buy the business. You might remember that Tuesday call. We had a team call, which we had every month. And I let everybody know that last night, the day before, someone bought the company, and that I was no longer an asset to the organization. I was more of a liability. And the reason that I did it was because the only way this company was going to accomplish its vision was with somebody else, because it wasn't going to be me. I didn't have it in me anymore. And, I remember operations manager, Evelyn, turning off her Zoom camera, crying because she'd been with me for 4 years. And I couldn't tell anybody. I was selling the business, And a week later, that same guy that bought the company backed out. He never sent the wire. So I guess he kind of left me at the altar, so to speak. So to come back to you guys, to come back to the company of our 26 employees and say, that guy that was buying our company, he's out. But even though I told you I'm mentally, physically, and spiritually done running this company, I'm fucking back. Let's do it. And everybody was like, bullshit.
Just to pause you on that there, like what was what is your state of mind and state of being when you had to come back in there? That realization that you don't get to walk away into the good night and sleep peacefully again. Like you just got left at the altar. You've got to pick up something that you actually put down. You took that burden basket, you put it down, and you're like, oh, it's done. Like I did it. I'm doing good for the team, the collective, the company. They can follow through on a mission. I need to obviously try and figure things out for myself. But then that moment when it's like, oh shit, this isn't going to be the happy ending. Like what was going through your mental space then?
I mean, dude, I was suicidal. I mean, what did I tell you when I started the company? I was like, either I'm gonna make this successful, I'm checking out. And so of course that thought of re-entered my mind. Did I make this company successful? And the thing is that that concept of it's just business, it's never been that way for me.
Yeah.
I've never had a separation between personal and business. I've never been able to successfully do that because for me, my life is my business. Like, and I don't mean that in like a superficial or like unhealthy way. Maybe it is unhealthy, but I don't know any other way. And I fucking love what I do. Like I'm here on this fucking world to make a fucking difference, to create true transformation. And I will not stop until I do. And I knew that at that moment I needed to take a step back. And dude, I took a lower offer. We had 7 bids on the company. I took one of the lowest bids, like $500,000 less, just because I thought he was the actual guy that could lead the company. the guy that had the highest bid had a strong Indian accent. And I'm just trying to think of, dude, I'm a yogi. So I love people from all walks of life, especially those from India. But this guy had a strong Indian accent. And like, I was terribly afraid like that you guys were not going to follow this guy.
Yeah.
And so anyways, to answer your question, dude, all I could do for the next 6 months was just like go fishing every day. That's all I did. I didn't have anything in me. I didn't have anything in me. I mean, I immediately let go of the sales team. Like the business broker was like, no, we can try to go after this guy or this guy. And I was like, I don't have it in me. Because the guy actually became my friend that was buying the company. We were speaking like 3 times a week at least, sometimes 5 for 3 months. I had to produce over 1,200 documents. I had done everything to try to make sure that the team was set up. Don't get me wrong, I was getting benefit at the end. Of course I was. But the whole thing was like, how can I create a win-win for everybody? So then like, I just felt like a complete asshole because I was like, now they're not getting a fucking leader who can do this. They're getting me, and I'm at half mast. I'm at half strength, So I felt horrible. I felt like I had let the team down, and I just didn't have the energy to keep it going.
What actually kept you going? Because it obviously you're sitting here today, and just looking at you and feeling your presence as well. You're a completely different human being from a couple of years back. But what kept you going? Because that was a complete loss of identity. The fact that you and your business were so closely connected, it was so personal. When that failed, like, what would keep you going? What kept you looking up?
No one's ever asked me that question. And I don't know if I've even ever thought about it. I think the only thing I can point to is my vision. My vision has just been so strong that like that's the only thing that I could hold on to, was that I knew in my heart that this is I'm going to create this. This isn't the way I saw it going down. This isn't how I saw part of but I mean, good Lord, we're here, our vision's here. There's a gap. And we have to go through things often very fucking uncomfortable and painful in order to become the person that accomplishes that vision. And so the reality is like, I'm not special. There's so many entrepreneurs who told me how they've lost multiple 7-figure deals. Like it's almost a rite of passage in the entrepreneurial world, man. You're going to get fucked.
100%.
You're going to get backstabbed. I mean, I've got the tales, the stories. I mean, like it's just part of the journey. And like, I'm still just reaching for like trying to find the beauty in it all. Like I wish I could tell you since July 12th of 2022, when that deal fell through, that like I've alchemized everything, that I've seen the beauty and that I've seen all the benefits and blah, blah. And I have seen glimpses, but like, I think the only thing that sits on my desk at all times is my vision. And maybe that's the only thing that made me not quit and check out. I don't know.
Wow. I think just to anyone that's listening, one of the key elements that we've brought forth in any of these conversations when you're trying to support and guide men through whatever space that they're in, and just helping them see the light and being that lighthouse when they're up against the rocks and they're like, oh shit, like where am I supposed to go? It's that vision. It's just being the torchbearer and saying, hey, like there's something to look at here. There is something more. There's something inside of you. And when just before you said rite of passage, that popped into my space as well. That gap is a rite of passage, because there's a complete identity shift from where you are to where that vision is. You have to become the embodiment of said vision. Otherwise, it just can't manifest.
Man, it's one of the hardest things in the world. men or women. We coached, of course, both men and women in Modern Yoga Teacher.
Yeah.
And to see so many of them, because that was the first step in the program, was to get clear on their vision.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to see so many quit as they go through the coaching program. That was probably one of the hardest things about that business, is when you would see people actually, like, they were champions in the beginning, and the moment, like, their Facebook ad didn't fucking give them the numbers they wanted, the moment they launched their signature program and they didn't get a client or something. But, my favorite clients were always the ones who went through the shit, went through divorce. Their studio owner partner decided to, like, they wanted out, and they kept moving forward. I remember Karen, I can't remember Karen's last name. Her husband passed away in the middle of the program, and she was one of our most successful students. And the thing is that those students who kept moving forward despite all the challenges, I would sometimes just cry on calls, because I was like, I know you're not the same person when you first started this program. I can see the growth, and that made me more excited. Of course, I love the testimonies. Oh, I got a client, I got 5 clients, whatever. But, like, just the ones that just kept moving forward through the fire. Those are the ones that inspired me and were the most beautiful stories in my mind. So,
and it's that grit. It's that level of grit, and you actually can't teach that. It's either in you or it's not. And most people have never even tried enough to actually scratch that. Like, what's actually underneath the surface? Like, how low can I go? How deep can I go? How far can I go? They haven't even given themselves the opportunity to look at that. What has rebuilding your life taught you that winning and that idea of success never could?
well, I became a yoga teacher in 2004. And it was only because I was in the mortgage business and I was stressed the F out, and whatever reason, like, yoga came like a mantra, like yoga, yoga, yoga. And it's so weird because I had gone through yoga class like 3 years before, and I think I only went to the class because there was like a hot chick that went in, and there was the teacher. He had hemp pants and a tie-dye t-shirt, and this was like a meathead gym. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And he had like 7 handouts. I'm like, this is an hour class. Like, bro, like, I'm just trying to take in your pants. I can't take these worksheets in too. Like it was just, so it was a very awkward class. So for me to, like, literally have this yoga mantra come out of nowhere, and then I immediately enrolled in teacher training. Didn't even take another class. I just enrolled in teacher training. Yeah, well, that's a different story for a different day. So please remind me the question, because I can get a little off track here.
No, all good. So what has rebuilding your life taught you?
Well,
that winning never could. So that success that you were maybe going for, that ideal that you were punching for the whole time, maybe that didn't necessarily take place or become fully realized.
Yeah, the reason I brought up the whole yoga thing was because if anyone has been involved in the conscious movement at all, like even for a hot moment, you're taught that you're whole and complete as you are, and everything you've ever wanted is inside of you. And trying to go after things that are outside of you to feel complete or fill whatever void you will is never going to bring you happiness. And I was like, okay. Well, let me figure it out for myself. Let me try that on. I want to try that hat on. Let's see if it works. And I tried everything. I did. I tried women. I tried money. I tried, possessions, approval, whatever, you name it. So for all of that facade, all of that bullshit to just, like, come down. Because the thing is that in my mind, I was like, if I make the money, then I'm going to be happy. And so if I grow the team, if I, start a movement. I don't think we started a movement, but I think we still made a big transformation in people's lives. The point of it is that, like, no matter what, at the end of the day, like, I wasn't cool with me. And so when you strip all those exterior things away and you're only left with your mind and your heart, and that's where it starts. That's where the work starts. So I mean, in some ways I was blessed that it all was taken away from me, because the reality is, if I had closed the deal on Modern Yoga Teacher and I had made the money, I was already starting to get my nose a little up in the air about who I felt I was, and it would have been even more up in the air. And so it probably was an incredible blessing that it happened, because it humbled the shit out of me. And I think that it truly just, it's a story, and it's more than a story. It was an invitation. It was an invitation to live a different life. It really was. Because the thing is it stripped away the things that I was falsely standing on. So, and it took a while. Literally, I finally did resell the company. And not anywhere near what I was originally selling it for. I basically sold it just for the assets, like our email list and our social media presence. Pennies compared to what I was selling it for originally. And I just took a year off because I needed that time. I needed that time away just for that space. But, the thing is, what I've realized recently is that take the time to get back on the fucking horse, man. Don't collapse on the problem. Don't just like identify with the problem and the I. It just becomes the I story. And the I, like, energy doesn't feel really fucking good. It doesn't. It's very constrictive. And it's all in your head. And so, it's only been recently, within the last, like, I would say month, that I really started to get back to work, and I started to realize and cut through these stories, cut through these samsaras, and just start to have clarity about where I really wanted to go and how it was going to happen. So all I can say is take that time away. I think Tony Robbins has like the 90-second, is it 90 seconds or 90 minutes, something, whatever, to feel as much anger or whatever unwanted emotion he's feeling, and then lets it go. So allow yourself to feel that shit, whatever it is, but then get back on the horse, because you just learn so much more by getting into action than you do just sitting there and analyzing the situation. Because it's like trash. It gets smellier and smellier the longer that you're just sitting with it. So
100%. You've worked with a lot of leaders, entrepreneurs, business owners, people from all walks of life. Out of curiosity, particularly within men, where do you think most men go numb or lose themselves in the name of success?
Well, I would say it starts with a belief, whether they're conscious of it or unconscious of it, and whether they're honest with themselves or not, that I don't feel like I'm enough. And if we're coming from that space, then everything else from there on out is going to be greatly flawed. There still can be beauty. There still can be truth. There still can be incredible moments that, that happen for us and for others. But if there is a fundamental belief down deep that I am not enough, then we will create situations that will create a life that will show us that.
100%. It is so funny that you brought that up today. I had a session earlier this week with a client, and that's one of the beliefs that he's currently struggling with. So from the data that I've looked at over over the last couple of months, particularly the firstborn men struggle with that as a whole, like not being enough because they have to be the caretakers. Their happiness is dependent on their collective family being happy, which ends up eventually being their business and their family within their business, and making sure that everyone's taken care of. So they become the caretaker, but they're stuck in this aloneness and they don't know, how to switch off, how to be with themselves. They also don't know, where do they stop? Like, where is the finish line? Where do I get to say, I've completed this task, or I'm at a point where I can rest? There's always another milestone. There's always another thing that they have to strive towards. And the question that I posed to him, and I'm going to just leave this for the listeners here as well, when is enough enough? What would enough look like? If you had to define enough, and you can define it in terms of a monetary value, in terms of what your relationship would look like, what would your life look like? When is enough enough? When would you be able to stop and be at peace with yourself? And funny enough, most people can't give a clear number. They'll sit there and they'll give a number, and after that, oh, that's not enough because I'd need this then, and it would continue, and you can stretch that. And then it comes back to what you said, and that piece of wisdom, which is finding that within inside of yourself, knowing that you are enough innately just by being who and what you are. No external validation will give you that. It's a very difficult mechanic and pattern or belief system to break, even if you are aware, because it's so deeply ingrained from childhood. Thank you for sharing that. That's absolutely incredible. Here's another one. How has your relationship with masculinity as a whole evolved through this journey?
I thought you were going to say, how's your relationship with your mother? I was like,
no, we weren't going to go there. We were just going to keep it PG today. So in terms of just masculinity as a whole, what do you feel that you've maybe reclaimed with inside of yourself after this reckoning, after all this chaos, after this collapse of the previous versions of Ryan?
I mean, I can't honor this answer without kind of sharing where I started. I mean, like, my mom is, she plays the victim in life. So I guess I am going to talk about my relationship with my mom. She plays the victim in life. She doesn't take responsibility. It's really hard for her. And, very, very feminine woman. And then I had my father, who was just, Green Beret, Special Forces, Vietnam, like Army through and through. Like, the dude was going on missions even when he was 66 years old with 19-year-olds. Like, he grew up, his dream was to be a soldier, like just a different type of man. So I had this like very feminine, very, very feminine, almost like helpless. And then I had this like overbearing, like powerful on the other side. And I feel that inside of me often. What became very clear for me as I grew up, especially when I was in college, because I was around men. I was in a fraternity. We were a weightlifting club that turned into an off-campus fraternity. You can imagine the caliber of meatheads that I was hanging out with. My best friend was 6'4", 288. Like, basically like 135, 140 kilos. Like, the dude was just fucking jacked. He had veins the size of my index finger going through his biceps. His thighs were 33 inches around, like the size of my waist. I mean, anyways, but there was always this feminine side. There was a masculine side, but there was always this feminine side. And I kept fucking going after the masculine. I thought the guy that drank the most beer, I thought the guy that screwed the most chicks, that could party all night, that was the winner. I mean, I'm talking about like when I'm in high school or college. And that's what I was trying to embody. And it wasn't me. So many fucking men out there that are embodying things that aren't them. And they're not honoring that side of them, that like maybe that feminine voice that wants to come out, that needs to talk about their feelings, that needs to talk about what's coming up for them in their heart. And like, I didn't feel like I had that. I felt suffocated. So I literally turned in my letters my senior year because I just felt this feminine side that needed to come out, and it didn't feel like I was supported in that environment. And it still felt uncomfortable for many, many, many years for that to come out. And it wasn't until I got into yoga where that felt like I could have that self-expression. And then, I'm around women primarily because I'm in the yoga space. And that actually, for me, I needed that. I got picked on in high school. Like, I got picked on by football players. Like, they were a year above me. Like, they fucking hazed the shit out of me. So in some ways, that was my idea of masculinity. Like, so like so now, like, even to this day, I still have resistance to like going to like a bar and watching football and drinking beer, because I think about these fucking dudes that used to like, haze me, so to speak. And so like I can see why I jumped into yoga and this feminine side, because it felt safe.
Yeah.
So for many years, like that was my safe space. And so as I started my business and I started to put myself out there more in the world, and I started to trust myself, like I started to say, you know what, guys, I want to work with more men than I want to work with women. And that wasn't exactly a popular opinion amongst, everybody within Modern Yoga Teacher, but that was just what my truth was. I wanted to work with more men. And the more that I got out of like, was open and getting out into life and like not hiding away from the world, which I did for many years. I worked from home. Like I've worked from home. A lot of men work from fucking home, and we got to get out and we got to stop being fucking lone wolves. Like, I've been a lone wolf for a long time, and we need to fucking roll in wolf packs, man. We need men.
100%.
We more than fucking ever. And I started to feel that. I started to crave that in terms of being around other men. And I was lucky enough to have a business coach, guy named Joe Stolte, incredible dude. And he ran a men's mastermind. And I remember back in 2022, and that felt so fucking therapeutic. I mean, I always joke that masterminds are my love languages. Like, I love my love language, because like I just love being around other badass entrepreneurs who are like accomplishing incredible things and want to come up with ideas of how to grow themselves personally and professionally. Like that's where I get down. So like, the more that I continue to hang out with men, and the more that I just, allowed that to flow, like now I'm at a point now where that's all I want to do is work with men. I feel that there's so much need in the world for men to fucking come together and just literally celebrate the masculine, because in some ways the masculine's been on a fucking cross for a few years. And I totally get it, and I'm not fighting it. I'm just saying, like, I just see that men are hurting because they don't have other men. And a lot of them don't have the fucking balls to say, like, I'm hurting. And a lot of other men that hear that don't have the balls to fucking say it's okay, because they're hurting too, and they don't want to admit it. And so, like, I just feel this incredible amount of like love and energy and just a vibrational frequency to work with men that want to accomplish incredible things, that want to bring the greatest version of themselves, the highest version of themselves. They want to be family men. They want to be the fucking, founder, the CEO. They want to show up, and they want to do it from a place of truth and awareness and authenticity. I know that fucking word authentic gets thrown around so much these days. You know what? It should, because it's fucking amazing. And so hopefully I'm answering your question. The thing is, just like, I just felt that, over the years, that I just needed to honor that masculine. I needed to honor the feminine. So it's like, I was all masculine, then I went all the way to the other side, and then I've been finding my way to the middle. But I truly see that it's incredibly important for me, not just to hang out with men, but men that can be honest with themselves. Men that can really look in the mirror and answer some very hard questions. And the thought of men and being in these wolf packs now, of course, not being a fucking hangover. Going through the desert and with hookers and cocaine. Anyways, you know what? I do. I think there's something really, really beautiful about men coming together and supporting one another. And it ain't about crying. It's just literally about like being vulnerable, being truthful, and just having fun, man. And just being with men.
I think another way to also verbalize what you're saying there is what I find is men, they don't necessarily want you to break into that aloneness because that's a very peaceful space, but to know that there are other men in their vicinity, in their aloneness, and they get to share that in their own way and be like, oh man, I see you. Hey man, I see you. Yeah, I know. And I get it. But sometimes you can just nod ahead, make some eye contact, and it's like, I get it.
Yeah.
And just having that, there's just some it's like a soul warming hug just by having that recognition and sharing that. Because it's a wordless connection. It's just a feeling. It's such a deep space. For the younger men listening, Ryan, those men that find themselves on edge or uncertain or overwhelmed, what would you say to the version of you who was maybe still in the chaos?
Man, I was so stubborn. I don't know if I would have listened. I mean, like, I would love to be inspirational in this moment and give you something that just, goes viral. But the reality is, man, is like I think first you have to trust yourself that what you're going through is exactly what you need to go through. That, it really it is perfect. It never is perfect in the moment. It's only in hindsight where like, oh yeah, I can see why that happened and that happened and that happened. And when you're in the shit, it can be pretty tough, especially for someone that has maybe experienced up and downs their whole life. But all I can say is that like you've got to hold and believe that vision that you have. And you have to believe that what you're going through right now is exactly what you need to go through in order to accomplish that vision. I mean, there's always to get support, but I just the only thing I can point to is just this belief because it always everything comes down to a belief. Like you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in what it is that you're doing, and I don't want to overcomplicate this message right now. Life can be really tough. Life can bring you down to your knees. And for those of you that are on your knees right now, you're not alone. You're not alone. And continue to keep putting one foot in front of the other and try to get out and not be by yourself. Because that being by yourself all the time, there's a time and a place when you need to go and go in your cave for sure. But there's a time when you need to also be willing to ask for help. And so I guess if I was to say anything is just continue to believe in yourself, continue to believe in your vision, and if you need it, ask for help. Most men do, man. That's why most of us that's why most of the most successful people in this world, like they have coaches coaches or whatever you want to, for a title. But when you need it, ask for support. Don't be too proud. Be willing to ask for support when you need it.
Thank you for sharing that. I think just reflecting on the amount of courage it takes just to raise your hand and say, like, I need support, or I'm willing to change. I'm willing to take ownership and accountability. I'm willing to not play the victim. I'm willing to take responsibility for my side of the story.
Yeah, man. It's very easy to I'm going through a program on trauma right now, just to try to understand some things about myself. And I'll repeat the quote from J.K. Rowling: blaming your parents for your life has an expiration date. You have to take responsibility for your life. You have to absolutely take responsibility for your life. And if you find yourself in a world of shit, take responsibility for that and realize that you can also change that experience. So, David Goggins popping into my head right now. You can't hurt me, Dad.
burn the boats. Gotta burn the boats. Ryan, thank you. Right. Maybe it's a bit more of a somber ending, but that felt weighted, and it felt like it was the presence and the message that should be lingering in men's heads and hearts, or anyone that's actually listening to this today. Genuinely, thank you for your time. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for sharing parts of your journey and yourself in such a open, and we can use the word authentic way, because I can't find anything better right now to substitute. Vulnerable, yes, vulnerability. Thank you for opening up and giving us a glimpse of an incredible life that you've lived and you still get to live. For anyone that's been listening, if someone wants to reach out and connect to you, firstly, what are you busy doing right now, and where can they find you?
Yeah, so I, in the same sense of like rebuilding, that's absolutely still in some ways my experience. But the thing is that what I've decided to do is fuel it into a podcast that I'll be launching called Burnout Alchemy. How your burnout is actually an invitation to a greater life, to the greatest learning lesson of your life. And so it's really important for me to help men, primarily men, but of course I'm open to helping women as well. But I really wanted to speak to men about like that feeling of I'm not enough. And it can get dressed up in so many fucking different ways, man. And there's many different routes to burnout for sure. But at the heart of it, I really want to help people to get to that feeling, men, to get to that feeling like they are enough, to eventually start doing retreats. So be on the lookout for a podcast called Burnout Alchemy. In the meantime, I've teamed up with my former business coach, Joe Stolte, to help him grow Prime AI. Prime is, we all know AI is the present, the future, and everything else. It's coming, it's here. It's just such an important presence in business and in our lives. And so I'll just say this very quickly. In 1997, I was in college and I was walking through the row of computers in the computer lab, and I'm like, fuck these things, man. And then I remember somebody like 5 years later gave me a card that said Google on it. I'm like, what the Google? Threw it in the trash. And I let that computer and internet age really pass me by. I didn't really get in fully until 2015 when I started Modern Yoga Teacher. But I always told myself if there was another big wave that came around, I was going to stay in front of it. And that's why I partnered with my former business coach to stay in front of the AI movement. And so really we help entrepreneurs that want to feel like they're in control of what's going on and utilize AI in every capacity. Now, please, my heart beats for, helping men through burnout. But for right now, I'm growing this business through Prime Live. So my email, if there's any interest, is ryan@primelive.ai. And then again, just be on the lookout for my Burnout Alchemy podcast coming soon.
Amazing. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for your time. And if today's conversation stirred something in you, if you're feeling the weight of high achievement without the depth of true fulfillment, then this is your call to go deeper. You don't have to navigate it alone. And I think that's been the theme that's been reiterated time and time again throughout this conversation. So feel free to check out our links in bio or head over to uncmp.com, whether it's one-on-one mentorship, our Uncommon School for Men, or one of our free tools like the Masculine Scorecard Pressure Test and the soon-to-be released Nice Guy Test. We've created spaces for men like you to reconnect with what matters. Thanks for being here.